Welcome back to Story Talk FM. Today's story is called A Voice Message from My Future Self. Imagine this. You wake up on an ordinary morning. You check your phone. There are no missed calls, no new messages, nothing unusual. But then, you notice a voice message. A voice message sent from a number you have never seen before. You press play. And suddenly, your heart stops.
Because the voice sounds exactly like yours. And the message begins with these words. Hello, Ethan. If you're hearing this, it means the experiment worked. Ethan froze. His hands started shaking. The voice was familiar. Too familiar. It sounded older, wiser, more tired.
The message continued. Don't delete this recording. I know you think this is a prank. It isn't. I am you, 10 years from now. Ethan laughed nervously. This has to be a joke. But deep inside, he felt something strange. Something he couldn't explain. The voice knew things. Things nobody else could know. I know you're sitting on your bed right now. Your blue backpack is on the floor. You forgot to finish your history assignment. And your left shoe is under the desk because you kicked it there last night.
Ethan immediately looked around his room. Everything was exactly as the voice described. His heart began racing. The voice paused. Then it spoke again. Listen carefully. You have exactly one chance to change your future. Outside, rain started tapping against the window. The room suddenly felt colder. Ethan turned up the volume. You are about to make several mistakes. Mistakes that will cost you years of regret. Ethan swallowed hard. What mistakes? The voice continued. The first one will happen in 3 days. 3 days? That wasn't far away. 3 days from now, your best friend Liam will ask you to join him for a weekend trip. Ethan frowned. Liam had not mentioned any trip. Not yet. If you say no, everything changes. The message suddenly ended. Silence filled the room. Ethan stared at his phone. His mind was full of questions. Who sent the message? Was it really him? Was time travel possible? Or was someone playing an elaborate trick? For the rest of the day, he couldn't focus. At school, he kept replaying the recording. Again and again and again. Every word felt real. Every sentence felt important. 3 days later, just as the voice predicted, Liam approached him during lunch. Hey, Ethan, my uncle rented a cabin near the lake this weekend. A few friends are going. Want to come? The color drained from Ethan's face. His future self had been right. Exactly right. Liam looked confused. You okay? Ethan forced a smile. Yeah, just surprised. All afternoon, he thought about the decision. Go or stay? The voice had warned him. If you say no, everything changes. But what did that mean? What would happen if he refused? What would happen if he accepted? That night, another voice message arrived. Ethan almost dropped his phone. The same unknown number, the same voice, his future self. He pressed play immediately. "I knew you would be nervous." The voice sounded calmer this time. "Right now, you're wondering whether you should trust me."
Ethan listened carefully. Good. You should question everything. The voice chuckled softly. Because 10 years ago, I questioned everything too. There was a long pause. Then the voice became serious. The trip is not important because of the cabin. It's important because of who you'll meet there. Ethan's curiosity exploded. Who? The voice continued. You'll meet a girl named Ava. Ava? Yes. And meeting her will change the course of your entire life. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. The rain outside grew heavier. Thunder echoed in the distance. But there is something else you need to know. The older voice sounded sad. Very sad. When you meet Ava, you'll think you found the perfect future. Another pause. But perfection is an illusion. Ethan leaned closer. His breathing slowed. The voice whispered, "Some of the most beautiful moments of your life will begin that weekend. And some of the most painful moments too." The recording ended. Once again, Ethan sat alone in silence. His future was becoming a mystery, a puzzle, a warning, and somehow, a second chance. Little did he know, the next few weeks would reveal secrets that would change everything he believed about destiny, friendship, success, and love. And the biggest surprise was still waiting for him. Because the person sending those messages was hiding a secret far greater than time travel itself. The weekend arrived faster than Ethan expected. For 3 days, he thought about nothing except the mysterious messages. Every prediction had come true. Every detail had been correct. And now, he was standing beside Liam's car, preparing for the trip. The sky was clear. The air was fresh. Everything felt normal. But Ethan knew something wasn't normal. His future self had warned him. Someone important was waiting at the lake. Someone named Ava. The drive took nearly 3 hours. As they got closer to the cabin, tall pine trees surrounded the road. The lake appeared between the trees like a giant mirror. The water reflected the blue sky perfectly. It looked peaceful, beautiful, almost magical. When they finally arrived, several young people were already there. Some were preparing food, others were sitting near the water. Everyone seemed excited. Ethan looked around nervously. Was Ava here? He didn't know what she looked like. He didn't know how old she was. He didn't know why she was important. Then he saw her. A girl standing near the edge of the lake. She was taking photographs with an old camera. The sunlight reflected in her hair. For a moment, everything around him disappeared. The laughter, the music, the voices, everything became silent. Only the girl remained. Ava. Without knowing why, Ethan felt as if he already knew her, as if he had met her somewhere before. Their eyes met.
She smiled.
And somehow, that simple smile changed everything. You're staring. Liam laughed. Ethan quickly looked away. A few hours later, everyone gathered around a campfire. Stories were shared, jokes were told, and people laughed. As the night grew darker, Ethan found himself sitting next to Ava. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then Ava broke the silence. "You seem distracted." Ethan smiled nervously.
Do I? A little. She laughed. What are you thinking about? Ethan almost told her everything. The messages, the future, the warnings. But he stopped himself. Who would believe him? Instead, he said, "Have you ever felt like something important was about to happen?" Ava looked toward the lake. Actually, yes. Her answer surprised him. She continued, "Sometimes I feel like life gives us small signs." "What kind of signs?" She shrugged. "People, moments, decisions." The wind moved gently through the trees. The fire crackled quietly. Ava looked directly at him. Maybe every decision creates a different future. Ethan felt a chill. Those words sounded exactly like something from the voice messages. The next morning, Ethan's phone vibrated. A new message. His heart nearly stopped. He walked away from the group and pressed play. The familiar voice returned. "Good. You met Ava." Ethan's eyes widened. The voice continued. "Now listen carefully. This is where things become dangerous." Dangerous? What did that mean? "Over the next 5 years, Ava will become the most important person in your life." Ethan listened silently. "You will build dreams together. You will support each other. You will believe nothing can separate you." The voice paused. Then it became heavy with emotion. "But one decision will destroy everything." Ethan's hands began shaking. "What decision?" The voice answered. "You will choose success over people." The message ended. Ethan stood frozen beside the lake. Success over people. What did that mean? For the first time, he heard real sadness in the older voice. Regret. Pain. The kind of pain that lasts for years. Suddenly, Ethan understood something. These messages were not about predicting the future. They were about preventing mistakes. Somewhere in the future, his older self was suffering, and he was trying desperately to change something he wished he had done differently. But Ethan still didn't know the full truth. He didn't know that an even bigger secret was coming, a secret hidden inside the very first voice message. And when he discovered it, everything he believed about time would be shattered.
After the trip to the lake, life moved forward. At first, everything seemed perfect. Ethan and Ava became close friends, then best friends, and eventually something more. They spent countless hours together, talking, laughing, dreaming about the future. Ava wanted to become a photographer. She dreamed of traveling around the world, capturing beautiful moments, telling stories through pictures. Ethan loved listening to her dreams, because when Ava spoke about the future, her eyes sparkled. And for the first time in his life,
Ethan felt truly understood. Years passed. Slowly. Beautifully. By the age of 22, Ethan had started a small technology company. At first, it was nothing special. Just a tiny office, a few computers, a handful of ambitious ideas. But Ethan worked harder than anyone else. He stayed awake late at night. He sacrificed weekends. He sacrificed vacations. He sacrificed comfort. His business began to grow. Then it grew faster and faster until people started talking about him. Newspapers published articles. Investors called him. Money arrived. Success arrived. Recognition arrived. Everything he had ever wanted was finally becoming real. One evening, Ethan rushed into a restaurant where Ava was waiting. He was 40 minutes late. Again. Ava looked disappointed. "You forgot, didn't you?" Ethan sat down quickly. "No, I was just busy." Ava sighed. "You've been busy for 6 months. I am building something important." "So am I." The words hit him harder than expected. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Ava looked down at her coffee. "I feel like I'm losing you." Ethan forced a smile. "You aren't losing me." But deep inside, he knew she was right. The company had become his entire world. Every conversation led back to business. Every decision led back to money. Every goal led back to growth. Without realizing it, he was slowly drifting away from the people who mattered most. Weeks later, another voice message arrived. The older Ethan sounded exhausted. His voice carried a sadness that was impossible to ignore. "You are doing exactly what I did." Ethan closed his eyes. He already knew what was coming. The voice continued. "You're telling yourself that you're working hard for the future. You're telling yourself that everything will be worth it. You believe there will always be more time." The older Ethan laughed softly. But there was no happiness in that laugh. That's the biggest lie we ever told ourselves. Ethan listened carefully. Success is a wonderful thing. But success cannot hug you when you're lonely. It cannot sit beside you during difficult nights. It cannot replace the people you love. For a moment, the recording became silent. Then the voice whispered, "If you're hearing this message, you still have time." The message ended, but Ethan ignored the warning, at least at first, because success felt good, very good. His company continued growing. Millions of people began using his products. Investors offered larger deals. His name appeared in magazines. People called him a genius, a visionary, a future leader. And Ethan believed them. The more successful he became, the less attention he gave to everything else, especially Ava. One evening, Ava invited him to an important photography exhibition.
It was the biggest moment of her career. She had spent 2 years preparing for it. Weeks earlier, she had asked him to attend, and Ethan promised he would. "I wouldn't miss it for anything," those were his exact words. But on the night of the exhibition, a major investor requested an emergency meeting, a meeting worth millions of dollars. Ethan had a choice, Ava or the meeting. The decision should have been easy, but it wasn't. He told himself the same thing many successful people tell themselves. It's just one night. There will be other opportunities. She'll understand. So he chose the meeting. Hours later, his phone vibrated. A message from Ava. Only 4 words. I waited for you. Nothing else. No anger, no accusations, no arguments. Just 4 words. And somehow, those 4 words hurt more than anything else. For the first time, Ethan felt fear. Real fear. Not fear of failure, not fear of losing money, fear of losing someone. The next morning, he tried calling her. No answer. He sent messages. No reply. Days passed, then weeks. Eventually, Ava agreed to meet him. They sat on a park bench, the same park where they had shared dreams years ago. Ava looked different. Not angry, not sad, just tired. Very tired. Ethan, she said quietly, I don't think you're here anymore. He looked confused. What do you mean? She smiled sadly. Your body is here, but your mind is always somewhere else. Ethan felt his chest tighten. I can change. Ava looked away. I know. The silence between them felt endless. Then she whispered the words he would never forget. The problem is that you keep saying that. And deep inside, Ethan knew she was right. For the first time, he began wondering whether the future he was building was actually destroying the life he wanted. But the worst was still ahead, because the next voice message would reveal a truth so shocking that it would change everything Ethan believed about the mysterious recordings. And finally, he would discover who had really sent them.
For several days, Ethan could not stop thinking about Ava's words. The problem is that you keep saying that. Those words echoed inside his mind again and again and again. For the first time in years, he canceled meetings. He ignored emails. He spent hours alone, thinking, questioning, remembering. Was this really the future he wanted? One rainy evening, Ethan sat alone in his apartment. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky.
The room was dark except for a small lamp near the window. Suddenly, his phone vibrated. Another voice message, the same unknown number. The same familiar voice. But this time, something felt different. Ethan pressed play. For several seconds, there was only silence. Then the older Ethan spoke, slowly, carefully, as if every word mattered. This is the last message. Ethan immediately sat upright. The last message, the voice continued, if you are hearing this, then everything has happened exactly as I remember. The older Ethan sounded older now, much older and much sadder. I have spent 10 years wishing I could change the past. A long silence followed. Then he said something unexpected. I never invented time travel. Ethan froze. What? The voice continued. There was never a machine. There was never an experiment. There was never any science. Ethan's heart began racing. Then how were the messages possible? The answer came seconds later, and it changed everything. The messages were never sent through time. Ethan felt confused. The older voice sighed. I recorded them years ago. What? I knew exactly what would happen because I had already lived it. The room suddenly felt smaller, the older Ethan explained. 10 years ago, after I lost Ava, I started keeping recordings. Thousands of recordings. I spoke to myself every night. I talked about my regrets, my mistakes, my fears. The older Ethan paused. Then he whispered, and one day I had an idea, a simple idea. He scheduled the messages using technology. Using delayed delivery systems, using software that could send recordings years into the future. Every message had been planned, every warning had been prepared. Years earlier. Not from the future, but for the future. Ethan sat speechless. The mystery was finally solved. There had never been magic. There had never been time travel, only regret, a mountain of regret. Then the older Ethan spoke again, and this time his voice was trembling. Do you want to know what happened to Ava? Ethan held his breath. For years, he had feared this moment. The answer finally came. I lost her. The words landed like a stone. I didn't lose her because of one argument. I didn't lose her because of one mistake. I lost her because of thousands of small choices, missed dinners. Canceled plans, broken promises, ignored moments. The older Ethan continued. One day, she stopped asking me to be there. One day, she stopped waiting. One day, she moved on. Tears filled Ethan's eyes. The voice grew quieter. People think heartbreak happens in a single moment. It doesn't. It happens little by little, until one day, there is nothing left to save. Outside, rain tapped softly against the window. The older Ethan took a deep breath, then he revealed the final truth. The company became successful. Very successful. I became rich. I became famous. I achieved every goal I ever wanted. A bitter laugh followed, and I would trade all of it for one more evening with her. Ethan closed his eyes. His chest felt heavy. The older Ethan continued when I finally understood what mattered. It was too late. Silence, then one final sentence. The sentence that changed everything. Success is not about what you build. It's about who you become while building it. For several seconds, neither version of Ethan spoke. Then the older voice returned, calmer now, almost peaceful. I don't know if you've changed anything. I don't know if your future will be different from mine, but I hope it will. Another pause. Then, if it is different, if you save what I lost, then maybe all of this was worth it. Ethan felt tears running down his face. The recording was almost over. One last message remained. One final goodbye. The older Ethan said, "There is one more thing. You've been wondering why I started sending these messages, why I spent years preparing them. The answer was simple, because of a letter. A letter Ethan had discovered years earlier. A letter written by Ava. The older voice began reading it. If you ever realize what truly matters, I hope it isn't too late. I hope one day you choose people over success. Because the best moments of life are not achievements. They are shared moments. They are memories. They are love." The reading stopped. The older Ethan whispered, "That letter broke my heart, and it saved my life." Then came the final words, the very last words. If you're listening to this, put down your phone, call the people you love. Spend time with them. Tell them what they mean to you. Because tomorrow is a promise no one receives. The recording ended. For the first time in months, Ethan didn't replay the message. He didn't analyze it. He didn't search for hidden clues. Instead, he stood up, grabbed his keys, and left. 20 minutes later, he arrived at Ava's apartment. His heart pounded. The door opened. Ava looked surprised. Ethan. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Ethan smiled, a real smile, the kind he had not worn in years. "I was wondering." Ava waited. Ethan took a deep breath and said, "Would you like to go for a walk?" A small smile appeared on her face. The same smile he had seen beside the lake years ago. The same smile that had changed everything. This time, he wasn't late. This time, he showed up. And for the first time, the future felt unwritten.
If you could send one message to your younger self, what would it be? Write it in the comments below.